Hi, I'm Richard Carlton. Welcome to the Coach's Corner.
My name is Kristian Olsen, the manager for the coaching department here at RCC. Today's meeting, we're going to be going over how to move FileMaker code. And I need to give a shout out to Todd Geist of Geist Interactive, who has a checklist on the internet, when we'll provide a link so that you guys can get to this, that walks you through the various steps of moving code either from one solution to another or duplicating the existing modules you have and the order that you want to go in to save you the maximum amount of time. That is, so that you can do it in the least amount of time, fixing the least amount of things. For today's demonstration, I'm going to be using RCC's FM starting point solution, our completely free and unlocked CRM. Starting points available at fmstartingpoint.com, and many of the people in the FileMaker community are already quite familiar with this. But something that frequently happens with me and my clients is I will have someone come to me and go, Kristian, this is great. I've got accounts. I can track companies. I've got the contacts or employees of that company. I've got estimates and invoices and products that track inventory. But Kristian, I have things going out of my system. How do I get inventory to come into my system? I need a purchase order. And from there, our conversation typically ends in either the estimate or the invoice module, where we realize that these modules very much are a purchase order. They just operate in the opposite direction. And so clients ask me, or I pose them, how do we duplicate an existing module in our starting point solution? So let me open up Todd's checklist here real quick. So Todd's got a list here of the different steps in the order that you want to go to reduce the amount of pain that is going to come in having to rebuild tables, relationships, table of occurrence groups on the graphs, scripts, layouts, and everything else that goes along with it. Now, for this situation, I'm not actually moving code from one file to another. I'm just duplicating existing schema and scripts, and so I can skip some of the steps that are on here. For example, we don't need to duplicate any custom functions, but I do need to duplicate or add a purchase order table. So let's go through some of these steps to see what this kind of looks like. So I'm going to go over here, and I want to go into Manage Database. So I'm going to do Edit Layout Mode, Manage Database. There's a couple other ways to access the relationship schema, and I'm going to go to Tables. And there are a couple different ways to duplicate the invoice table. And believe it or not, depending on the next series of steps, how you choose to tackle them, it can matter. For this video, I'm going to do a copy and paste of the invoice table. I'm going to go ahead and change that from invoices to PO, purchase orders. Due to the length of this video, I'm not going to be doing a purchase order line items table, something you might be familiar with if you've actually looked at how invoices and our line items work. But if I go to the fields here, I want you to see that all of the purchase order fields from invoices actually exist over here. It brought everything over and they appear to work. But I'm going to go to the relationship graph here, and you'll notice I've got a new purchase order tog, which really is going to need to go away. But what I'm going to do here, so I'm actually going to zoom out. I don't know if you've seen this button before, and I'm going to grab the invoices module on the relationship graph here. I'm going to duplicate that, and I'm going to drag that over here. And if we were done right there, wouldn't life be fantastic? Now we get into the nitty-gritty. So as we zoom in on this, you'll notice it's got a 2 in front of everything. But if I click on my table occurrences, I'm still looking at the invoice table. I need to actually change this to the purchase order table. See that? And typically what I would do is probably make this T33, but that's a whole other video. As I do this, I don't have the time in this video to show it to you, but as I come over to the fields, it doesn't look like it yet, but I'm going to need to delete our TO that is up here. And as I do that, that's going to cause all of these calculations and summaries to break. They're all based from that tog, and I need to convert them to my new ones. But that, again, is where some of the nuances come in this. I'm going to go ahead and say OK. And more or less, I have the backbone of the purchase module I need. So you'll notice here, fix the relationship graph, adjust the fields. I've kind of glossed over this. This actually can be a bigger step than it looks. And then layouts and scripts. This is about as far as I'll get into today's video. The rest of this is a bit more nuanced. may not necessarily be necessary for this type of feature. But if we go over here, and I'm doing a keyboard shortcut right now, Command-Shift-L for a Mac, Control-Shift-L for a Windows machine, and this is my layout tools. And what I want to find here, I've got a folder for invoices and mouse. I have a subsequent one for touch, so depending on what we need to do with this customer solution, it's worth keeping note of that. I can duplicate this, and boom. I've now got a duplicate set of all my invoices, our invoice layouts, and what I need to do here is open this up and look for purchase orders. You can see why labeling these with the T33 was a little bit easier. What purchase orders do I need? I'm not sure at this moment. I believe it's the second one. And then I would need to do that to all of these layouts. But when you go to open them, you're going to see something terrible. Oh no, they're all broken. So they all need to be rebuilt. Okay. But we don't need to build the layout itself. Just attach them. If I go into the script workspace, I've got a folder that encompasses most of the scripts of each of those modules. I'm going to do a Command-C, Command-V here. That is going to take a second. I'm going to scroll that down. And this would become my purchase order scripts. But as you might imagine, they've been duplicated from the invoices, so they still need to be reworked. But that's where Todd's list comes in and is so helpful. It tells us the order to do these in because less things are likely to break if you follow these orders correctly. And let me tell you, if you're moving code from one file to another, this will save you an incredible amount of time, as the objects on the layouts might know what they're actually attached to because you've already created the tables, you've already created the scripts, and everything needs to have the exact same name. So I like to keep these videos short, but I wanted to show you a very useful tip or trick that is out there that you can go and find yourself. But I also wanted to mention this in the context of the coaching department, because if you have your own custom solution or if you have FM Starting Point, you very likely have wanted to do a task similar to the one that I'm showing you today. And if you've ever done it, the first time can be a little bit tricky, even with the aid of that checklist. And that's where the coaching department can be so helpful. The coaching department, if you're not familiar with it, is RCC's branch of doing live development with our customers. We use GoToMeeting and we set up a screen sharing either between our computer or our client's computers. And we have the opportunity of not only helping our customers add things to Starting Point and their other custom solutions, but if they're interested in it, teaching them how to add those things themselves, empowering them to save some of the costs that go along with development. One of the beautiful things with coaching is whether you're learning directly or just interacting heavily with our engineers, the engineer has that opportunity of chatting with the customer to get live feedback to help make the database as tailored as possible. So if that's something you're interested in, take a look at the link for the checklist and come reach out to RCC about our coaching department. And until next time, this is Kristian Olsen signing off. Thank you.